So I made a video the other day that you guys did not like. I talked about why I thought Texas was deserving of the #1 spot. I didn't think it was crazy that Georgia dropped in the polls, right? And not everything on here can be pro Georgia. You got to talk about it how it is. And I think that after performance, a 13-12 win, a 1-point win, escaping, Kentucky has a chance with 9 seconds left to win the game. It's not impossible for them to win the game. Yeah, a team that was projected to be #1, you would think, is not going to struggle that much up in Lexington. So there's a few nuances to this, but when you just look at the other contenders, who are the other contenders too? Let's establish that. Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, Ohio State, Tennessee, maybe even Missouri. Some of those schools at the top, a lot of SEC schools at the top. You look at it, well, guess what? No one's really played anybody. Alabama hasn't really played anybody. Tennessee hasn't really played anybody. Ole Miss hasn't. Ohio State hasn't. Texas has got that win over Michigan. We'll look at that win a little bit closer. Missouri beat Boston College. How good is Boston College? A team that is one of those wins against Florida State. Well, guess what? Florida State's 0-3. So maybe I overreacted a little bit when you look at this a little closer and peel the onion a little bit more. But Georgia probably did deserve to drop a spot in the polls to Texas. But I don't think there's any reason to freak out about Georgia. They had a bad game against Lexington. The rest of the country doesn't look better than Georgia. This is my point. The rest of the country doesn't look better than Georgia. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post comparing what has happened across the league with those contenders. Looking at Tennessee, let's look at all these contenders and figure out, are these teams really looking better than Georgia? Is one bad game too much to judge Georgia off of? Newsletter. It's in the link in the description of this video. I plug it in most of these videos, but trust me, even though there's an off week, we're still going to do Final Feelings. We're still doing our picks. I'm still providing you 5 for Friday. I'm still going to have my 5 for Friday, the things you need to know heading into this weekend. We're still going to provide all that content. We'll be hammering content this weekend as well. Make sure you're signing up for the Dawg Post newsletter. The link to do that is in the description of this video down below, like I am saying. It's free. All you got to do is give us your email address. I want to thank those who have signed up. I thank you for considering to sign up, and just check it out. Dean, Matt, and myself, we're all putting out a lot of premium content, a lot of free content as well. Latest press conferences. Everything that you want to know about Georgia, it's on dawgpost.com, www.dawgpost.com, and the best way to stay up to date with what's going on is the Dawg Post newsletter, because we're pushing out a newsletter, and you get to see all the stories every day. Content gets delivered to your inbox. We're delivering it to you. You don't have to go finding it. We will walk to your electronic doorstep and say, here's an article. That's how the newsletter works. Okay. I'm looking at Alabama. Let's look at Bama right now. We'll talk about the Tide first because Georgia has to play them in a week and a half, right? I'm recording this on Wednesday. It's going out on Friday. So Bama, 63-0 against Western Kentucky, 42-16 against South Florida, and 42-10 against Wisconsin. All wins. Let's talk about it. Hey, I was really impressed when they put up 63 against Western Kentucky. It's a team that Alabama should have 60 points in its wheelhouse against. But when you actually do it and you look crisp and you hold Western Kentucky to a goose egg, you look pretty good. Alabama's defense looked good. It created opportunities early in that game. I have criticisms because I watch a lot of these games and I see a lot of it. And I'll be honest with you, the only team on this list that I haven't sat and watched at least a little bit of a game on is Ole Miss. I'm going to talk about Ole Miss, but I'm just telling you right now, I haven't watched Ole Miss as close as these other teams. Okay. Blowout, Western Kentucky is impressive. It's a more impressive blowout than Georgia's over 48-3 win over Tennessee Tech. Alabama showed that they can run, they can pass. It's one of Milroe's best games ever statistically when you look at it. You kind of move on from it. Okay, then South Florida. This box score, and for the people who are not analyzing it, 42-16. Well, guess what? Look at the quarter by quarter. 28-3. Alabama exploded with about 7 minutes left. Touchdown. Made this game look like it was not close at all. Well, guess what? It was very close. And I think it was 3-3, so that would be 13. I think it was like 16-14 South Florida, 13-14 Alabama. This game was close to being tied in the fourth quarter in Alabama. It took them a very long time to get rolling. It took them all of their scoring. like all of this explosion. It was at the end of the game. That is not a team that you should be dancing around with for super long. It's the same reason why I told you Tennessee Tech was going to blow out NC State. Why? NC State danced around for way, way, way too long with Western Carolina. Blanked on that for a second. So when I compare Georgia hanging around with a Kentucky, it is not the same as Alabama hanging around with South Florida. This Kentucky game was on the road. Kentucky's got the athletes. We know that. They've got the coaching. They've got the infrastructure. So when I look at this Alabama team, not an impressive second game against South Florida. At Wisconsin, did exactly what they should do in my opinion. 42-10, kind of pretty clean. It's 21-3 at halftime. It's taken care of. Good road win for Alabama. Good bounce back win. But that game against South Florida should be at least a little bit concerning. Let's look at Ohio State. Ohio State, 52-6, hard to judge. 56-0 against Western Michigan and Akron. Those are their scores in those games. They look good. We know they have the players. We've got to see what they can do on the road. We've got to see what they can do against a ranked team. It's going to take us a long time to learn. Hey, is Ohio State better than Georgia? Is Ohio State better than Texas? Is Ohio State better than these teams? They've got to play Marshall. They've got to go at Michigan State. Well, at Michigan State's not the same as at Kentucky or at Auburn, right? Teams that aren't very good, but you get my drift. So September 28th, the week that Georgia plays Bama, that's when Ohio State will go on the road. They should probably handle business pretty easily against Michigan State. How are they going to handle at Oregon? A team that we're not sure about. So we won't know until October 12th, really. We'll really learn about Ohio State that day. Ole Miss. Ole Miss has looked electric on offense. Ole Miss is putting up a lot of points. The best team that Ole Miss has played is Wake Forest. 76-0 win over Furman. Impressive. 52-3 win over Middle Tennessee. 40-6 over Wake Forest. Now that Furman game, it's Furman. I know that they did a lot of that in the first half, but it's Furman. At Wake Forest, 46. Can't complain about that. I think Ole Miss definitely has the offense. Excuse me. Still interested to see what the defense looks like. Wow, against a real opponent. Kentucky at home. We'll see how that goes. Ole Miss should probably handle them pretty easily. At South Carolina is interesting. That is a tough environment over there. So middle of October is when we'll learn more about Ole Miss. Texas. This is the team that surpassed Georgia. This is the team that's got the number one next to its name. Destroyed Colorado State 52-0. Destroyed UTSA. 56-7 at Michigan. Now, this is part of the reason why Texas is number one. This win at Michigan, 31-12. It's on the road. Top 10 opponent. I think they did what they should have done, and they won by almost 20 points, and I think that it's hard to criticize that. Should they have blown out Michigan? I don't think Michigan's very good after what we've seen through 3 weeks. 30-10 over Fresno State. Took them a long time to get going over Fresno State. Arkansas State, 28-10. Now, I didn't watch this game, but that's not the offensive output that you want if you're going to compete. 134 passing yards. I'm looking at these stats, and I actually am looking at these numbers for this Michigan Arkansas State game for the first time, and actually kind of shocked. You're seeing a live reaction. Maybe Texas's win is not as impressive as we think, but winning on the road, they showed that they can do it a little bit better than Georgia so far this season. Tennessee, the last team I want to evaluate here real quick, because I think that Missouri, I want to see them play someone else first. I think my jury's out a little bit on Missouri. 69-3 over Chattanooga. 71-0 over Kent State. 51-10. They're putting up a lot of points. They are trying to score the entire game. Are these just style points is my question. Are these just style points? To me, Tennessee's offense looks very similar. It just looks like the personnel has changed. But the scheme looks the same. I don't buy Tennessee as much as other people do. I'm very excited to see how Tennessee plays on the road against a ranked opponent in Oklahoma. That's the game I'm looking forward to the most, this Oklahoma-Tennessee game over the season. But again, the reason I made this video is to make the point that Georgia struggled really big on Saturday. They struggled in a big way, and it still got the job done. No one else out of the contenders have had a real game yet. I mean, Georgia's beaten Clemson. Nobody has beaten a team like that out of all these teams. So I would pause on freaking out about the Dogs because when you look around at the other contenders, no one has really done anything that says, hey, whoa, well, they're way better than Georgia. It's just, we're comparing apples to oranges right now. Thanks for watching.